open your mouth too.
Whoa, Septem. I mean, okay, I'll do anything you want. Hello, and welcome back to Act 2 of To Eat a God. This is a Yandere biblical horror dating sim in which you play as a puppet and attempt to navigate the strange world at the behest of many obsessive and Yandere gods. This time, we are taking a look at Septem's Act 2 route. Let's get started. Okay, so we are gonna do a tiny little recap. So we're actually gonna start from where Septem confronts us in the temple. It's been a little while. Time passes quickly, and this time you witness Septem materialize before the temple altar. But now you've gotten used to it so you don't get startled. It's time for dinner. Are we gonna follow this routine every day? Yinny, were you the one who asked that question? Lie to cover up the puppet, tell the truth, or use a knife? I don't remember what I did last time. Lie to cover up the puppet. Yes. The idea is that the puppets can obtain energy to function properly. Both mine and yours. Do you have a puppet? Something like that. Septem begins to approach you. His angelic face is an antithesis to the aura that he emits. Look, I really want you to understand what's happening and why you are vital to the garden's recovery. And I wouldn't want to omit vital information for your decision making when the vessel change begins. I will implant my memories into the puppet to make it simple. Septem places his left hand on your forehead. You can skip the information below if you're not interested. I think you have something to do with that. Nulla once talked about it. The skip button. I think that's its name. In the beginning, everything was darkness and nothingness itself. When the creator arrived, there was light, and that was where my existence began. Although having light, it allowed us to see the shadows. It was there that we realized the existence of Nulla. He had been in this place before my existence and the creator's arrival in the garden, waiting. I forgot Nulla was actually that old. Nulla and the creator were talking for a long time. And I, still a being without knowledge of anything, did not understand them. But I am sure of one thing, and that is that Nulla seemed to not respect the creator. He treated them as an equal, raising his voice and even putting his dirty hands on them. And then the creator gave me the mission to create the symbols to keep the garden running. So that's what I did. On Monday, I gave life to the sun, but you know it as Unum. Oh, my husband. Tuesday was the firmament and the stars, Due. And on Wednesday, the earth and the planets were created. On Thursday, the moon was created. Quator was just as bright as the sun at first. It's a shame the fight Unum started. Before putting order, everything was chaos. If only I could have intervened, maybe Quator would still have her 4 eyes. By taking away 2 of her eyes, the moon stopped shining and now rises when the sun sets. On Friday, all creatures were created, and a symbol was set up to represent them. PK. Finally, on Saturday, my dear Septem was born along with humanity. Sunday was a day of rest. I spent all day observing the operation of the garden, but I did not have a physical body to experience everything I had created. And for a long time I was like this, until Septem told me about transfusing my essence into a human. But to do this, I had to leave my existence behind and start living as a human, so I did. I instantly realized my mistake. When humans are conceived, they are given a soul that is distributed by the garden or mother. Making the transfusion results in a mixture of the human soul and the essence of the deity that makes it. So this body is not completely mine. What do you need me for? I no longer have control of the garden. After the creator vanished, the garden began to wither. The first sign was the disappearance of the children of Septem, the humans who gave us genuine devotion. In the chaos, Nulla reappeared and filled me in on everything about our world and the creator. Then, he taught me of the existence of other worlds abandoned by the creator in a state equal to ours. But the difference is that they had humans. So we implanted ourselves in their culture, and we consumed their devotion directly. Every last Sunday of the month. But with you here, it won't be necessary to continue with this. If we unite in a transfusion, you will grant me the authority to manipulate the garden for myself. No. At our whim, we can save the world and prevent Nulla from destroying everything. But what if I want Nulla to destroy everything? I love him. Look, none of the symbols knows the sad truth that we are nothing more than a world that pretends to be organic. All they know is that our world is dying. To you it may be a game, but for me and my people it is our home. Even though everything is a lie, I want them to live in the best conditions. For the garden to return to what it once was. I want to do everything possible to avoid the inevitable. Now that you know, do you accept the deal? I don't know. Nulla wants to destroy everything. But is accepting Septem's deal the right thing to do? I don't know. It doesn't seem so bad as he thought. Maybe it's just a bit maladaptive. After all, he does what he believes is right. Always following etiquette and rules because that's all he knows. But on the other hand... Alright, so we are going to accept and then we'll do the other 2 at the end. Accept. I accept. Septem extends his hand to you and you take it firmly. You feel electricity is running through your body, and Septem's smile grows bigger with each passing second. I'll start with the preparations. After that, Septem teleports you to your room to end the day. As you settle into bed, he tells you that tomorrow you'll dine without his company until dinner, and he leaves the room without further explanation, politely saying goodbye to you. You close your eyes, hoping to fall asleep instantly. But it takes you a while. It's Mother! She's so pretty. You see a figure appear in the darkness, but when you focus your eyes on the figure, it vanishes. The shock makes you fall to the ground. Ooh, oh my god, she's so pretty. Hello, Yinny. I see that you have made a decision. There's no point in insisting any further. I suppose Septem's ideology has always been the right one, and our plan is the most selfish and easiest to execute. Who are you? Why do you speak to me? You hear her try and laugh. What? Can't a mother have a conversation with her child? I am the mother of your puppet. The first puppet made from my flesh and the fragments of Nulla's soul. To be able to contain you, I'm made of Nulla's soul? Also, she is so pretty. And likewise, I am the mother of the garden. I can only communicate with Nulla thanks to the stupid laws decreed by the creator. So the only communication I have with the outside is with Nulla. And no, he's not very open to hearing other solutions now that you're here. But I can reach you thanks to the puppet. And with you here, out of Nulla's reach, I can get what I want without harming anyone within the garden. If you get the chance, tell Septem to let me go. If you speak with Septem, perhaps he can come up with something to get me out of this damnation. Have you been condemned? Yes, it was the creator or father, whichever you call him here. He and I were equal. Both omnipresent deities created by a being from the higher plane. Although, it's not worth discussing this being, since no one here can lay hands on him, as is the case with you, Yinny. What happened was that the creator, seeing my history, deemed me dangerous to the inhabitants of the garden for having opened my eyes in times past. Oh, she was gonna call him Neo. Therefore, he condemned me to be segregated and to sustain the garden with my body. I both love and hate the garden. I am alive because of it. I have a connection with every entity in the garden, each and every one. I feel everything, from 1 to 7. I feel their agony. I make placebos. I bring humans with Nulla's help, all to avoid feeling their collective pain. Even if it means breaking my physical body over and over again. It's useless. I can't get out of here. I can't protect my children. I can't even have a conversation with them. And yet, I know them like the back of my hand. I know Due's worries. I know of Tria's anger, Yinkei's loneliness, and I know how broken Septem is. Oh, poor Septem. I want to give him a hug. I can feel and hear their prayers desperately begging their father to come back and fix everything. But he is not going to come. Can't say the same for me. I am. He's too proud for that. And honestly, he doesn't care. Septem is just one among many. Mother sighs heavily and her aura shifts. I have no problem letting the garden keep living. But my individuality, my being, and omnipresence can no longer endure. So please, tell Septem to strip me of my individuality, to leave my body in the void eternally in an endless cycle of destruction and regeneration. I know my body in essence must be present, but my individuality is not necessary. I know Septem can do something now that he has you here. I trust he can fix it. Now that he has new eyes that are not tied to the creator, they can heal and eliminate all of the creator's curses. And if you get the chance, I want you to break the eyes of each of the symbols, including Septem's. I won't risk the bastard noticing the change of command, because I don't know how he might react. That sounds like a very hard job. Mother doesn't know what she's saying. It's impossible to get rid of him. I doubt he'll let them live in peace if they change command. That really is like declaring war on that puppet that calls itself creator. He's an idiot. The only way to end this collective agony is the total destruction of everything. Nulla, is that you? Otherwise, I'll keep being recycled until whoever controls the creator gets bored. And this world will be completely abandoned when whoever controls the creator gets tired of it, condemned to eternal darkness forever. You're lucky that entity hasn't gotten bored yet. If it weren't so, you wouldn't even be here. Oh, my apologies, I didn't greet you. Hola, cariño. Nulla! Nulla, I missed you. I see that you still can't let me go. Not even on this game route. How could I ever let you go? You're like my number one. Adorable. Unfortunately, I can't enter Septem's temple. I'm not allowed to do that unless your eyes are on me at the edge of his domain. If you could leave here and reach the edge of the domain, I miss you. Aww. I miss you a lot too, but I must take my leave. Good night, Carino. Something prevents you from staying in the dream. It's Septem's voice heard in the distance. You open your eyes abruptly, searching for the cause of the near-mini heart attack you're experiencing. Septem is nowhere to be found in your room. It must have been part of the dream. Yandere, it's time for the puppet to go eat. Or perhaps not. You struggle to get up. It seems you haven't rested at all. You walk through the corridors like a robot, knowing exactly where the dining hall is. Upon arrival, the dishes appear in the blink of an eye. Today, I won't dine with you. How strange. You sit down and eat in silence. Bite after bite, you finish your breakfast. Unsure of what to do, you get up. Find Septem. You have nothing to do but search for Septem. That's either it, or wait until dinner to end the day. This is starting to bore you a bit. Well, let's go look for Mr. Emotionally Damaged. You roam the entire lower level of the temple with little success. The room where Septem sleeps is open and unoccupied. It doesn't even seem to have been used today, and that's strange. You wonder if he might be on the second floor of the temple. After all, you didn't traverse the entire corridor you saw earlier. Making one last attempt, you climb the stairs in search of Septem. You don't hold much hope of finding him. You honestly think he's outside the domain. You walk down the corridor, taking in all it has to offer, which isn't much. Until you reach the end of a corridor and come across an open door, one of those that should still be closed. You hesitate before entering, but Septem said you could roam his domain. Yeah, roam his domain if you know what I mean. And you don't consider it a transgression to enter an open door. It's practically inviting you in. Upon entering, the first thing you see is a multitude of shelves filled with books. Then you notice papers on the floor scattered and abandoned. Aww, he's overworking himself, just like me. Looking further, you see Septem at what appears to be his desk. It's spacious, but it's cluttered with books and documents, hindering its effective use. The eyes on Septem's face don't look directly at you, yet you feel that the eyes adorning his halo do. Yandere, do you need anything? He speaks to you without lifting his face or eyes from the document he's reading. And it's then you notice his eyes are red and dark circles are beginning to appear. Haven't you slept? Septem stops looking at the paper and offers you his tired gaze. No, and that's the only thing he tells you before once again fixing his eyes on the document. Well, we love a hard-working man, but make sure to look after yourself. Get some sleep, just like Pud-Pud. Isn't that right, Pud-Pud? If you come here out of boredom, you can read something from the library, but you must go elsewhere to read it. Can't I stay here? No. Take a book and leave, please. Okay. Well, I wanted to hang out, but sure. Fine. Be that way. Great. It doesn't even have a title or anything. Yeah, what if it's like a BL Dojin? Oh no, how terrible would that be? But you don't want to linger any longer, so you leave the library at a slow pace. You figure that going to your room is the best idea. Why can't I go to Septem's room? It's an old book. Like a diary, you know it's handwritten, but features various typefaces within. It appears to be a conversation between two people, although you can't make out its content, since you're unable to read it. So you focus on examining the drawings. They depict places, entities, and a few familiar faces. You see Nulla on a few of the pages. Could it be Septem who wrote this? Upon reaching the final sections, you notice something. It's the emergence of two names, their appearance varying with the typeface. Septem and Rafael. This is a conversation between the two of them. They're very different. You don't have time to think, as you feel a strange pressure in your body. As if it were forbidden material, you slam the book shut and stow it in the bedside drawer. To calm yourself, you decide to wander the temple to pass the time. You're called to have lunch, and afterwards you function on autopilot. Accustomed to this routine, you wander the corridors in Septem's temple once more without any particular reason. You pass the library once again and Septem remains there. You're not so out of it as if to bother him again. No, but I want to bother him. So you head back to your room. At this rate, you'll go crazy. You don't know how many hours have passed, yet Septem's voice interrupts your meditation. Yandere, come here for a moment. Septem doesn't wait, as you teleported to just centimeters from him. You take 2 steps back to respect your personal space, and you have to tilt your head up to see his eyes. Oh, so we know he's very tall. I've convened a meeting with the daughters of the garden. They want to meet you. Me? Listen well. They have no idea that this is just a game to you. You must act as the new creator. Septem's voice trembles slightly, as if the thought of a new creator makes him anxious. A replacement. If you behave, I'll do something entertaining for you later. Whoa! Hey, yo! What are you doing? You gonna bend over? The smile sends a shiver through your entire body from your fingertips down to your stomach. Before you go, you must proceed carefully. the space will begin to distort. It was too much for your puppet. You can... Septem brings his hands to his halo and pulls out one of his eyes. What? Here you go, a declaration of love. Rips eye out? Did he just tear out an eye? Septem watches you for a moment. This will help recalibrate its senses. Septem offers you the eye as if it were nothing special. Is he giving us an eye? I'm not giving it to you so you can keep it. Having more than 2 symbols in one place creates chaos, and for a mortal body that's dangerous. Septem closes both his eyes and begins to recite while gesturing with his free hand. I grant part of my essence to Yinny's puppet for the duration of the meeting. You'll be an extension of me and I will be an extension of your puppet. I would like to see another extension of you, Septem, if you know what I mean. We'll be united in a weak, temporary bond. Septem opens his eyes and stops making the gestures. If this works, we'll be able to... Yes? Septem stops speaking as if debating whether to continue, and without further explanation the eye is absorbed by your body. Sounds hot, and I feel something change inside me. Yinny, why can't I feel you? I close my eyes trying to find you, but you're not here. What is this? His voice carries a tint of terror. I wish it always had that tone. You are an extension of him. What did you do with Yinny? Septem grabs me by the shoulders and starts squeezing tightly. He talks to me as if it's my fault and not his. What are you talking about? It's your fault. Your damn eye did something that broke the connection between Yinny and me. I like how the label is me, but it's not like me. I lunge at him without thinking. Nothing else matters now. I grab one of his wings and pull, and it hurts me too, but I don't care. I throw a punch with my other hand straight at his stupid face. Aww. Before my fist can connect with his cheek, he stops me by grabbing my hand with his, breaking my wrist with one squeeze. Septem! I did hit him first. It hurts like 1,000 demons and I can't help but scream. The scream makes Septem let go and look at me with wide eyes. I examine the damage to my hand. It's broken, and I can't move the joints in my fingers. My hand is no longer functional. I'm no longer useful to Yinny if they ever return. It can't be. Septem fixes his gaze on the hand for a moment, then looks at me in surprise. Have I hurt you? Of course, you imbecile. Yinny is still here then. That shouldn't have hurt you without their presence in the eyes. Now look at me. I look into Septem's eyes. Even though his expression intimidates and disgusts me, I don't want to suffer anymore. After a few seconds of uncomfortable inspection, Septem smiles. Your pupils remain white. You're still under their control. It seems we've only diminished their influence, and that means they saw me act that way. How embarrassing. I'm not going to heal your hand. And don't think I'll forget this tremendous offense. I swallow hard, imagining the horrific tortures that could be inflicted on me, and he surely will. Alright, come with me. Septem begins to walk without waiting to see if I follow. Sighing, I follow along, but Septem stops abruptly and turns to look at me. Wait. It will be odd for the new creator to be injured. They will ask me why. Sexton will surely pester until she finds out. Will he heal me? I can't help but flash a smug smile at him. I'd be fully functional for Yinny once again. I'm so happy. Septem makes a face of disgust but says nothing. Look at his face. He's like, ew. That's so funny. He's like, ugh, gross. And he simply places both his hands on my broken hand. A strange sensation courses through my body, and I can feel the broken and missing parts settling back into place. Thanks, Septem. Septem's expression remains one of disgust. It's laughable, but it fades instantly as if he remembered something. And his face softens into a smile that reveals no teeth. He places one hand on my shoulder to give me 3 gentle pats. Take it as a new opportunity to be broken from scratch. And believe me, it will eventually happen. After all, Yinny is a curious entity. Maybe they'll even enjoy reading that. Who knows? After all, Yinny isn't the one affected. It's true. We walk in silence after that. The walk is long with each of our steps echoing through the space. The sound of our steps bounces off the walls like an echo that follows us. We arrive at a giant door which quickly opens to let us through. The space inside the door is strange. Dark and unsettling, not like the void of Nulla. It reminds you of the night, full of stars that appear and disappear. It's very pretty here. Oh? Tria! In the room, there are 4 figures. The ones closest to us are engaged in conversation as if nothing else mattered. They are very close to each other. I suppose they must have some sort of relationship. They are about to press their lips together when Septem makes his presence known by stepping into the room, and both entities look on curiously. Septem laughs with a hint of tenderness, and it's strange. Do I? Don't let your guard down. Septem? The voice resonates throughout the entire space. Then the entities fix their eyes on me as if I was some kind of freak. I mean, I am a freak. No, They watch me as if I were the main attraction of a circus. Great, the first is a three-headed entity approaching, and closely behind follows an entity draped in a red robe. The other, noticing this, laughs and takes her hand. Don't be so tense, Due. Both approach us and greet Septem respectfully, with lowered eyes and a slight bow of the head. Horrible. This thing earns no one's respect. Then they look at me, and they gaze at me with the same devotion and respect as they did at Septem. I don't like it. Helloyinny. Yes, I answer with all the confidence I have. Oh, that didn't sound very confident from me then. Thank you so much for what you're doing. We never thought we'd be heard by another being as powerful as you. Before I can answer, Septem opens his mouth. This creator isn't very communicative, he says while looking at me with piercing eyes. Okay, I get the hint. Just like before, huh? They are Due and Kotor, the firmament and the moon. Oh, I recognize them. They are from Septem's memories. Then the ones on the table must be Septem and Tria. Don't just stand there. Come on, I prepared tea. Septem walks straight to the table after Septem's call, and the other two follow him as well, like little ducklings following their mother. If you were here, Yinny, everything would be so much easier. Oh, look at Pud Pud. You're so cute. She's leaning her little head on my mic stand. We sit at the table, which is laden with all kinds of foods, both sweet and savory. Why is Septem looking at me with those eyes? Look at her. However, no one eats except for Septem. The other entities introduce themselves, though there's something odd about Septem. Her eyes are fixed on mine, following my every move, but I try to ignore it, smile and keep silent. That's what Septem wants, so we won't be caught in this lie. And that way I'll be able to recover Yinny after this meeting. The entities talk about trivialities that don't matter to me, and I don't want to hear. But it can be summed up as them telling Septem what they've been up to. Much to my dismay, he listens attentively and responds energetically, and without any passive-aggressive remarks. What? Who are you and what have you done with Septem? Incredible. Even his aura seems to have changed. Even though he still has that angelic face, the Septem is not the one I know. Who is this benevolent being? And what did he do to the original Septem? He disgusts me so much that I long for the Septem I once knew. Oof, what a line. Honestly, I thought we'd all go crazy before returning to normal. It hurts that you don't have faith in me. It's not that. I know the situation is getting out of your hands. Due makes an awkward comment. I'm glad you managed to find another creator. I think our midnight prayers really paid off. I hope this one is more responsible. Your foot. It will be. When will Septem be able to regain the power to create humans? I have to make some preparations first. That doesn't bother you, does it, Septem? She doesn't respond. Her gaze remains fixed on me. How frightening. Septem? She blinks a couple of times before fixing her gaze on Septem. Of course not, Septem. I wouldn't want to rush you and jeopardize Yinny's sacred bond with the garden. I don't like this entity. To ignore the discomfort, I focus on eating, and the other entities look at me in surprise, though they say nothing. The rest of the meeting passes without much fuss or glory. It's like a family gathering. Except I'm the guest with no ties to anyone in the family, but somehow everyone respects it. The moment of farewell arrives, and all entities affirm that they're grateful for my intervention in the garden, stressing that they'll do whatever it takes to make me feel proud. I can sense the uncertainty radiating from them. Why say that? Didn't the creator feel proud and leave them because of it? How was their relationship with the former creator? Due and Kotor have vanished together. What? Oh, spicy. Leaving behind a trail of bright lights that blend together. The moment Tria vanishes, the room begins to change, transforming into the garden of Septem's domain. And only Septem and Septem remain along with me. She is staring at me with the 1,000-yard stare. Septem, can we have a meeting tomorrow? Why not now? I have to go pray at the church. That is no longer necessary. Septem. Septem looks at Septem with pain, and I wish I knew why. Alright, we'll talk tomorrow, but I will come visit you. Without saying another word, Septem lowers her head in farewell and leaves, walking out the door. There is silence between them. You feel as if a weight has been lifted off you, and you realize it's because Septem has regained his seventh eye. What? Yinny, you're bound to me once again. Septem turns to face you. Welcome back. Yinny. He slowly raises his hand to touch your forehead. Good night, Yinny. See you tomorrow. And your vision begins to blur. Suddenly you stop hearing the faint ambient sounds. Septem, you can't just do that to me. Days pass slowly in Septem's domain, where all you can do is eat and sleep. Septem barely interacts with you. He prefers spending most of his time in the library. You're convinced he hasn't slept in ages, and you suspect that while you sleep, he remains absorbed in his reading. In the few times you've seen him, you've noticed a disturbing change in his appearance. His hands are entirely black, just like your hands, and you lost some sensation there. But there's nothing to worry about, Yinny. Your hands still work. Search for Septem. You're getting bored. You need to speak with Septem, whether to resolve some pending issues or simply for his company. Having decided that, you head to the library intent on facing him directly. When you arrive, you find him with his hands on his head, overwhelmed by stress. Oh, poor baby. It's odd to see him like this. It's clear that Septem is used to controlling everything, and anything beyond his grasp seems to overwhelm him. Make yourself noticed. You gently knock on the ajar library door. Septem looks up, his gaze fixated on you, his expression silently questioning what you want and why you dare to interrupt him. Well, you look sad and I wanted to say hi. I suppose it has been a long time without anything interesting, Yinny. He pauses for a slight moment, as if assessing your presence, then adds with a slight smile. Go ahead. I grant you permission to proceed. Won't it harm you? Without broken bones, or an outrageously disproportionate death. You don't believe it. I don't trust it. We should go back. Alright, we are entering. You enter the room slowly, carefully controlling every movement so as not to disturb anything. No abrupt movements and neither too fast nor too slow a pace. You approach his desk but hesitate. Should you sit? The answer comes quickly. No. Not without his permission. You know the nature of the blonde well. Defying his rules even accidentally could have serious consequences. You don't want to die over something you could have easily avoided if you had been more attentive. Sit down. Oh, you look so tired. You do. Though inside you can't help but feel a slight resentment. Reluctantly, if I may add. Tell me, what do you need? You look terrible. Septem looks at you with narrowed eyes. Me? No, it's this mortal body's fault. Believe me, my intention is not to break it, but we are against time. When I find the solution, I'll let it rest for as long as it wants. About Mother, you tell him what happened while you're asleep. Septem listens to you without interrupting or giving an opinion. While you explain more, Septem's face takes on an air of sadness, though at one point during your explanation, Septem lifts his hand, silently asking you to stop. We'll talk about this later. I have other things to solve first. When I find a way for us to join without endangering your experience or mine, we will solve Mother's problem. But I will keep it in mind. In the hands of my puppet, that wouldn't be a problem if I could find the solution quickly. The more days pass, the more your puppet will rot. Is there anything I can do? No. That's why I need to find another solution for the transfusion. If I don't, we'll be condemned. And you'll be forced to abandon the game, since the puppet will die. Septem takes off the garment covering part of his wrist and arm. For some strange reason, it feels illegal to see that. Kinda like when you see a Victorian lady's ankle. His arm is also being consumed by the black color that once only adorned his fingers. We're in the same condition. Give me your hand. It wasn't a question. Septem waits with his hand raised for you to give him yours. With some fear, you place your palm on his. The blonde man grabs your hand and squeezes it while examining it. With his thumb, he traces imaginary lines that occasionally stop to trace a new one elsewhere. Aw, we're holding hands. You avert your gaze to focus on the face of the seventh. His sky-colored eyes are focused intently on the movement of his finger. And despite the pressure his hand exerts on yours, you don't feel the slightest tickle. Do you feel that? Yes? No. Oh, okay, I guess I don't. A subtle smile graces Septem's lips, causing a shiver to run through your body. Gradually, the pressure increases, but you can't remove your hand. You won't give him the satisfaction of seeing your terror, neither on your face nor in your actions, since it doesn't hurt. Septem squeezes harder and harder, slowly but progressively. The feeling of pressure slowly transforms into pain. You're sure your bones will give in at any moment, unless you manage to break free from his grip. There comes a point where you can't take it anymore and yank your hand away to make it clear. Enough, but Septem doesn't let you. There's something wrong, Yinny. Yes, let go of my hand. I am not letting him break it. That would hurt Nulla's feelings. Tell Septem to stop. Septem lifts his gaze to look at your face, smiling sweetly, stopping the pressure increase but maintaining it. Oh, sorry. I went a bit too far. Thank you. There's a brief silence before the blonde decides how to continue this interaction. Septem guides your hand to his face, his lips gently brushing against your knuckles. Whoa! And he watches you. I wonder what expression you'll have. Disgust? Embarrassment? Neutral? Septem smiles and plants a kiss on you. A tender and delicate contact. Wow! Without further ado, Septem releases you and puts back on the garment covering his arm. Goodbye. Was that all? Wait. One more thing. About the transfusion. He looks distressed as he listens to you. He takes a moment before answering. I don't know how it will turn out. Septem speaks so slowly that it takes you a moment to understand him. Before you can ask him anything, he clears his throat in order to explain himself. When I gave you one of my eyes, it didn't turn out the way I expected. Something inside this thing forbids me from merging with you. Moreover, it has taken away the little freedom you had to control the puppet. If we do the transfusion, I won't fulfill what I promised, and we'll both be absorbed by the puppet if we continue as planned. It will be a disaster. Septem remains silent for a long time, and you don't know how to fill that awkward silence. Leave. Aww. Maybe I should have told him that he's done a good job so far. He doesn't even give you the chance to make a decision. Well, I'll do that later. He doesn't even give you a chance to make a decision as he teleports you to the room where you sleep. You lie in bed, thinking that tomorrow will be just another day like the ones you've had. You have to wait until Septem achieves what he seeks to do something more interesting. No matter how many hours pass, you can't fall asleep. And you wonder if it's due to the constant light and lack of darkness that makes it unclear when it's time to sleep. You figure a stroll through the temple wouldn't hurt. Perhaps if you move a bit, sleep will eventually come. You wander the temple corridors, deliberately avoiding the library because you really don't want to disturb Septem any further. You don't want to lose any part of your body today. As you pass by the altar room, you hear murmurs. You think you hear Septem's voice coming from there sounding agitated. You approach to see if it's really him. You try to move as delicately as possible, so as not to disturb the atmosphere, as Septem would surely notice any conspicuous sounds. This seems sus. It might be saved. I've been working hard to find a solution. Father, please, we're all praying for you. Everyone is asking for your return. Septem isn't angry because you took our humans, and I promise that Nulla regrets having done that to you. It's nothing personal with you. It's just that you remind him of... You peek your head out and there he is, the blonde, kneeling before the altar, with both hands clasped together as if supplicating. Now from this distance, you can discern what those murmurs mean. It's such a strange sight that you don't know how to react. I feel like this would be bad, but I will stay and listen. Septem takes a breath, meditating, and now, still with his hands clasped together, looks up at the sky and speaks. I don't know your name. Nulla has never been willing to tell me. But please, manifest yourself. I know you're here, one way or another. I understand that your puppet doesn't want to come back here, but I still miss it. I long to see him again and speak with him to soothe my heart. I understand his hatred for Nulla, his condemnation. But don't you think that's too much already? I know you can undo what the Demiurge has done and bring him back. I know you can do a lot of things. I promise to do things right this time. I promise not to bore you. I promise to fulfill everything your puppet asks. I promise to be yours. I promise to do things right this time. I feel bad for him. As long as you bring him back and grant us a peaceful life, I don't want any changes. I prefer that everything goes back to the way it was before. What the hell? That sounds pathetic. But if you don't fix the garden, I'll be forced to replace it anew and change its owner. Yinny seems to be a good candidate. What? After all, they're still here. I could give them control and the rights to everything within the garden, even if it means eliminating every trace of father and yours. So please manifest yourself if you don't want me to do it. Septem waits for a long time, but there's no response of any kind. Realizing he has been ignored, he slowly rises and looks at the candle on the ceremonial table. He rises and sighs as he fixes his hair. Then he places both hands behind his back to look in the direction where you're hidden. Do you know that eavesdropping is a tremendous sign of disrespect? Uh-oh, you see me like this and I don't like it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being vulnerable. Startled, you fall onto your rear. It was obvious. Very obvious that Septem knows you're there. You crawl backwards when you see Septem beginning to advance slowly towards you. I think you do it on purpose. No. You seek out these moments either to know what will happen, or because you enjoy watching the puppet suffer. You're no better than me. You're a sadistic entity. You're paralyzed, unsure if it's out of fear or because Septem has immobilized you in one way or another. Septem's feet are dangerously close to your left hand. That is to say, who would like to see? Septem places his foot on your hand, gently brushing the back of your hand with the sole of his shoe, as if to warn you what he'll do. Don't you dare! This, I honestly believe you do it because it doesn't have any real consequences on your integrity, Yinny. You don't care what happens to your puppet, and unfortunately neither do I. I could easily crush its hand. After all, I think it won't be so necessary in the future. But today, I feel merciful. Septem laughs. The power dynamic between you and the puppet fascinates me. We both know that the puppet will do everything you tell it to do. So what will you do? Protect the puppet? Ah, impressive. I suppose you must have some affection for them. Septem bends down and grabs you by the jaw. Forcing you to look at him in the eyes. He slowly approaches you and for a moment you think he'll kiss you. But his lips move to your ear, brushing against your skin. I would love to have this power over you, Yinny. Wow, that sounds hot. Too bad you're out of my reach. Septem lets you go and stands up. Get out of here. And let your puppet rest. When Septem leaves the altar, you regain control of your body. Without a second thought, you return to your room. A few days pass after that, and you begin to notice something strange about Septem. Now he avoids you as much as he can. The library remains permanently closed, and every time you knock on the door, Septem tells you to leave. But that's not the strange part. The strange thing is his tone of voice. It's not what you expect. It sounds weaker and lower with each passing moment. And you feel that at some point you won't get a response. It's gone all the way up! One morning you're awakened by Septem, who is standing at the foot of the bed, smiling, but he no longer looks as angelic as before. He has dark circles that look like they're tattooed onto his face in black ink, and you suppose he hasn't slept in days. Perhaps he's been too busy reading and searching for whatever it is he seeks in the books of his library. I think I know what the problem is. What is he talking about? The identity of your puppet prevents me from establishing the bond. We need a completely empty body to join. You can't start this madness so early, please. You haven't even had your breakfast. And Septem has already begun his antics. Yeah, come on man, I'm hungry. Although you're grateful he isn't commanding you in that harsh tone he usually uses. Not today. Today he appears anxious and distressed. We have to do it now. Let's go. This time Septem doesn't teleport you to your destination. Instead he prefers to walk, but his way of walking is slow, as if he struggles or feels pain moving. At this rate, they'll arrive tomorrow. Ask if he needs help. Septem pauses his walk and turns his head to look at you, his brows furrowed, sealing your fate. You shouldn't have asked that. Do you intend to help me? For a fraction of a second, you notice his eyebrows rising, evoking an expression you never thought you'd imagine seeing. He looks vulnerable, although that look is almost instantly erased. Me? He asks, as if he truly didn't believe it. Okay, now I just feel bad for Septem. You can lean on me if you need to. Septem does not respond verbally. He simply closes his eyes and inhales through his nose before drawing closer to you, but he deigns not to give you anything more than that, choosing instead to wait for you to react and accept it. He looks uncomfortable. It's clear he doesn't like the position he's in, vulnerable and with no choice but to depend on you, with slow movements and making sure you show him your hands at all times. Septem watches you intently, and slowly you wrap your arms around his waist, and that's all the blonde needs to tense his body. Ugh. Septem places his hand on top of yours and squeezes it weakly, as if unsure of what to do next. You sense that he's not accustomed to physical contact. Or perhaps he feels some kind of pain, but if it hurt him, he wouldn't even let you touch him. No. Let go of me. Without further ado, he releases your grasp, and in the process his ankle twists from a misstep. If it weren't for his reflexes, he'd already be on the ground. You simply stare at him. It feels strange to see him without that grace he usually exudes in his movements. And as if nothing happened, Septem brings his hands together. In doing so, both of you are teleported. You both appear in the altar room, but you don't get a chance to inspect as you see Septem fall to the ground. No! You watch him there, pathetically on the ground, and you hear him cough and try to clear his throat. Once he has nothing left to cough, Septem freezes. You truly believe he must feel some degree of shame at being seen in such a state. So human. Oh, it feels liberating to see him like this. Sorry, this body can't take it anymore. He rises with difficulty and gives you a quick glance. There are traces of blood on his lips and chin. It's serious. Seeing him bleed is as bizarre as thinking that Septem might actually die. Can he even die? Perhaps his physical body can. As best as he can, he makes his way to the candle that adorns the ceremonial altar table. He touches the dome, giving it a solemn look, as if he wanted to feel the warmth up close. The answer was always here. It is part of Father. His flesh is here, material of a primordial god. We will use it to create a completely divine body. Septem offers you his hand and awaits your response. I know you still have many doubts, but I promise that when we join together, you will know everything. What? Without the need for me to explain it to you. Septem, you have to ask first. You can't just attempt to be inside me. You'll see everything through my eyes. We will become one and leave behind these finite bodies. No? What will happen to the bodies? Mine will regain its individuality. Yours, unfortunately, will have to die. I cannot risk any trace of Nulla's walking through the garden. What? Do you suppose I'm from Nulla? You're mistaken. I only serve Yandere. I don't suppose. I know it. My eyes sensed it when I bonded with you. He has access to you, and once you set your eyes on him, it will be the beginning of the end. You must let go of Yandere. No! No. Yandere, don't do this to me. Septem looks at you in silence. You have to do something to let them live. Do you care about the puppet? Please, I'm trying to help you. Don't let them die. Maybe we can think of something. Oh, I didn't expect him to fold so easily. Septem begins to cough again. We must hurry, or he will die. Is he referring to his puppet? Give me your hand. I feel like he's about to trick me. You grasp his hand tightly, and Septem begins to recite chants in words you cannot understand. Father, with the sacred body I shall fulfill my ultimate will for a new age without your presence or condemnation. I will take both souls and merge them into one, creating divinity in body and soul. Man, why are both Unum and Septem so obsessed with making soul babies? And forgive our offenses. Something in the room changes. The space gradually disappears, leaving behind an absolute white, where only you, Septem, and the candle remain. Gradually, that white begins to mutate, giving rise to small flashes of light and dust. The candle expands its own form with each passing minute, stretching out abnormally, searching for a form, searching for a figure, searching for the perfect form of a human body. Transfer the eyes of this greater entity into a new body. You feel an intense pain in your eyes, as if they were being pressed against your skull, as if they were burning them, as if they were being torn out by force. Transfer my essence into this new body. Look, Septem, you know, when I said I wanted you to be inside, this isn't exactly what I had in mind. And let us become one. You stop seeing. You stop hearing. Everything turns black. I don't like this. A blinding white floods your mind, relentless and unyielding. It's irritating, and the only way to escape is to open your eyes. It's incredibly difficult, as if something is still holding you back from doing so. You try and try, but no avail. Your eyes refuse to obey your commands. Until something, a spark, runs through your entire body from your feet to your head. This is going to hurt a little. A little? Try a lot. You hear Septem's voice, but not through your ears. No, his voice originates inside your mind, as if he's speaking directly into your thoughts. You don't have time to focus on the voice. As your skin begins to burn, you feel it tearing apart slowly, painfully, and torturously. Then your entire body starts to change. You feel bones and organs exploding and forming inside you, replacing those that have any imperfections. You want to scream, but you hold it in. Just when you think the worst is over, you feel your heart tear over and over again. With each attempt, it's never satisfying, never turning out the way that you want. No, it has to be perfect. You try once more, and that's it. You open your eyes, and your vision is... all you see is the blinding white of your mind. Fear creeps in. It's strange to see with these eyes. Something is terribly wrong. We're still not fully synced. Oh my god, he is inside me. You look at your hands, and they are Septem's hands. But they no longer have that distinctive black hue. You're in Septem's body, or I'm inside him. Do you like it? No! You're very pretty though. I think you're gorgeous. But no! Though it won't be like this for long. Now that we have the creator's power, I can create you an entirely new body. Physically separate you from mine, but connected in soul. But I need time. In the meantime, we could say, I'm your puppet now. You can use me. The same way you used your old one. But I miss Nulla. How lovely. End of Act 2. Oh, no way. No. What about Nulla? Okay, I'm gonna go back and find some of these other options and see what happens. First of all, let's go back here. What if we just return to our room? Okay, if we return to our room, we just miss the confrontation scene. And it just goes as, it just goes down the similar path. What if we tell him that he's done a good job so far? Septem looks at you with a frown. But in his expression, there's something else you can't identify. It's as if he's having an internal debate where he can't win or think of an appropriate reaction for the situation. He definitely didn't expect this. Take that, old man. Septem opens his mouth to scream, and surely cause your organs to explode like water balloons. You prepare to die, taking a final breath. Leave. Get out of here, before I cut your head off. Oh, someone's not used to affection, are they? Someone hasn't been hugged very often. He doesn't even give you the chance to make a decision as he teleports you to the room where you sleep. Next time, we could call him a good boy and see how he reacts. Oh, I would like that. Just to annoy him a little. Alright, so that, and then it goes back to the same route. One thing I want to test in particular though is what happens when we reject and summon Rafael in the new act. You prepare to say his name, praying to every kind deity that this works. Well, if not, Septem will kill you. I want an audience with Rafael. What? Septem falls to the floor, as if an invisible weight fell on top of him when pronouncing the name of his counterpart. And you stay there waiting for something to happen. I'm still waiting. In the progress of elaboration, you'll have to wait a bit to have this date. Oh, okay. Yeah, because the dev did say that Raphael's route was not going to be added until Act 3. So it'll be very exciting to see what happens there. Alright, let's go back to try and get some of the other decisions. I feel like if we decline, he'll just kill us again. Septem doesn't hesitate for a single second before making your head explode. Yep, there goes my noggin. Dead, splattered on the ground. What happens if we don't enter the room? Do not enter. You're not going in. Maybe something will happen if you do. So without saying anything, you walk backwards. You reach the hallway. I told you to enter. Ooh, I'm not in the mood for games. I won't accept this behavior. Your disobedience is no longer fun. Wait, so he's just gonna straight up murk me? If you really take this seriously, you'll come back. Septem grabs you by the throat. Whoa! Yay! And starts squeezing carelessly. But hot. You know, he's trying to kill you. Gradually cutting off your air, he smiles. Bad and oh, I died. Oh, so it wasn't just kinky. Man, I thought it was just a bit of fun. So first we asked him, haven't you slept? What if we say I want to go to the garden? It won't be possible. What assures me that you won't try to escape? But Septem raises his palm to signal for you to be silent. Maybe later, when you prove yourself loyal. If you come here out of boredom, you can read something from the library. Oh, so he just tells us to read? I'm assuming we get the same response from I don't know what to do. Now I can't entertain you. Yeah, he just tells you to read a book again. Boo! Alright, what else are we missing? Oh, the bit where we just let Septem break our hand again? Oh no. Let Septem break it. You let Septem break your wrist because you want to know what will happen if he does. Yinny, I feel so bad for Nulla, I'm so sorry. Septem lifts his gaze to look at your face, smiling sweetly, stopping the pressure increase but maintaining it. I wish you could see the face your puppet is making right now. It really hurts. It doesn't want the fate being imposed on it. It's almost as if it were one of ours. But still, it won't do anything to change it, just to please you. I'm impressed by your puppet's conviction, Yinny. It tries to fulfill each of your commands regardless of its integrity. I have to give it that recognition. There's a brief silence before the blonde decides how to continue this interaction. Okay, so he doesn't break our hand, he just kisses our fingers. Okay. Alright, what else is there? What if we tell Nulla to not destroy this route? That would depend on you. Oh, I must take my leave. Good night, Carino. Okay, so nothing super interesting. The I miss you option was a lot more entertaining because he also says that he misses you as well, and I like that because I love Nulla the most. Alright, we can just keep walking and not help him. You watch him walk slowly, and with every step you have to pause for a few seconds so as not to outpace Septem. His feet tremble with every contact with the floor as if they were in danger of buckling. They're not moving forward at all. And Septem has also noticed. Sighing heavily, he brings his hands together. And in doing so, both of you are teleported. Okay, so nothing, yeah, it's just the same. Okay, also remember how in the previous video, so in Act 1 of Septem's route, where one of the endings was if you tell him the truth, he rips out your puppet's tongue. So if you're missing your tongue, when he regenerates your broken wrist, he also gives you a new tongue. He simply places both of his hands on my broken hand. Open your mouth too. Wow, Septem. Hehe. I mean, okay, I'll do anything you want. I wince at the sound but obey, clinging to the promise of a new tongue. A strange sensation courses through my body, and I can feel the broken and missing parts settling back into place. Thanks, Septem. Septem's expression remains one of disgust. It's laughable. Okay, alright. Yeah, so he just heals your tongue. Okay, I believe that was Septem's route and most of the significant alternate choices. I'm starting to feel really bad for Septem. Because I can tell that he really yearns to have like his own body and his own sense of self, but all he's gotten is a puppet that is rotting and he can't ever truly like be himself. Like even his current body is a counterpart of Rafael's, so they're like connected. And he so desperately wants to just like be his own person and have his own identity in life. And I kind of feel really bad for him. I feel like a lot of his controlling behavior stems from having a lot to prove to both father and mother because he loves them so much. And being abandoned by father and being so alone, I think has genuinely taken a massive toll on him. So I honestly feel really terrible for him. I definitely am worried about being in the same vessel at the moment and sharing the same body. I'm concerned about what's actually happened to Nulla and the puppet that we were previously inhabiting, so I'm very excited to see how that will pan out. I'm very worried. We'll have to say, initially I viewed Septem as like, I guess the biggest villain, if I had to pick one. Because he is definitely the most antagonistic and I think the most directly opposed to Nulla, which as we know is positioned in a way as like the good guy, but now we also know that he is quite an unreliable narrator. Yeah, so it'll be very keen to see if in Act 3 there will be any attempts at humanizing him or giving or allowing Septem to show his emotions a bit more, because that is something that I really want to see. But overall, I kind of feel like out of To Eat a God, there's really no good guy or bad guy. I feel like there's just people with different goals and they are conflicting. So Nulla wants to destroy pretty much everything and start anew, and he has a good reason for doing so. Honestly, Unum just wants to be happy with his family. And Septem just wants to be himself and have his own identity. So it's like a lot of them have opposing goals, but at the heart of it, I can't really say that they're evil. Like any of them at all, which I find very interesting and very, very good writing. But thank you so much for spending time with me on this adventure. I hope you guys enjoyed Septem's adventure as much as I did. And also, if you guys haven't watched the other parts, such as the original videos for Act 1 and also Nulla and Unum's Act 2, they are linked in the description box below. But thank you so much for your support, and if you like this video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one. And also, if you want sneak peeks of the dating sims that I'm making, including spicy art and uncut, spicy, and exclusive playthroughs, my Patreon link is in the description box below. But that's all for now. Thank you so much again for the adventure, and until next time, take care.